Joining us now on the broadcast to discuss and hopefully troubleshoot what is no doubt a crisis in Manipur is a leader of the Nagas People Front, who is also member of parliament for Outer Manipur. Joining us now on the broadcast, Dr. Loro Foz. Dr. Loro, thank you very much for taking out the time and joining us on this conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Can you explain to us from your information and understanding what the situation is now, sir?
Manipur has been a very complex situation. It has gone through very tumultuous and troubled times. We had only hoped that now 80 days and more, the state would come back to normalcy. But however, it is still, a lot of violence. We continue to hear people being killed and a lot of violence going on. And so definitely it is not a good thing. As we have also seen that when the internet comes back, we are expecting more and more such outcomes, and which will be devastating. Over 80 days, these videos were taken, and now it has been released. And as the Chief Minister himself has mentioned, there are hundreds more of such videos which are coming. So I only hope that there will be sense that when these videos are put into public domain, the reaction, the anger that is built up over people, it is very, very bad. The police and the law enforcing agencies should immediately come into action and then try to put a stop, book the people who are found culpable, who are found to be guilty, and only then I think things will come down. The government needs to take a very proactive action, and once these proactive actions have been taken, it will win back the trust and confidence of people. Okay. Today, whenever the government proposes for a peace committee or something like that, because that confidence is not there, people are not willing to participate, and this is something which is very bad.
So let me pick on that, sir, because yes. Before Parliament started, before this video got put out into the public domain, which is in question right now. We saw the Home Minister. He was there for 5 days. The peace committee, an effort was made to get the weapons back, have them dropped off. All of these things were already being done. Why weren't they working?
So see, actually the problem should be identified. Who are the actual perpetrators? And once the problem is identified, the problem should be removed. If the problem is still kept there, how will any form of actions towards bringing about peace and normalcy happen? It will not happen. So the problems once identified, problems should be removed. The act of the government to remove the problem should be there. The Home Minister was there. He was there for unprecedented 3 days monitoring the situation at ground. And I was actually very happy that such a Home Minister would come to be there, located in the troubled area for such a long time. The Union Minister of State also was there for more than 3 weeks. When they're there, we had expected actions to take place. But even after they left, now it is almost 2 months after they left, and the problem is still lingering on. And so I think the identification of the problem should be acute, they should be pinpointed, and those wherever these problems are there, they should be removed. And once that happens, things will become good. That is what I feel. It will take time for normalcy to return,
suggested that
in spite of time.
Yeah, you've suggested, sir, and not once, several times, that the Chief Minister should take culpability and he should go. What will that change, sir? What will that achieve?
See, it would win back the confidence and trust of the people. There is a government that is there for the people, and if this government has to function, it has to be with the trust and confidence of the people. If the people do not trust, how do we expect our government to function? That is where I'm stressing over and over again.
Okay, in a policing situation, and that's the priority right now, where we are seeing Molotov cocktails and weapons and troves of ammunition and AK-47s and M16 rifles. Where are all these things coming from, sir?
So we have already known from all over the social medias, the television has, and including the government has also admittedly told us that the arms and weapons were looted from the police custody and from the police, weaponaries. And so this should be gotten back. After the Union Home Minister came, I think a very good number of these things were returned back. They were, somehow recovery was done. But still, the weapons are at large. It is basically because the people, the mob, does not see seriousness in the government, which is why, you allow things to happen like this and it keeps on going on. It only encourages people to do the way they want. And so once this has been done, I'm sure it will come back to normalcy.
But the political leaders themselves, including leaders who represent not only the state and the center, but are in the union cabinet, their houses have been attacked. There's been arson. Why would you assume that the political establishment in Manipur is not taking it seriously?
I absolutely have no idea why it should be, but it is not on personal vendetta. Personal attacks are also being made. And then when the openness of the government, openness of the leaders, whoever it may be, towards trying to solve the problem, it should be sincere. Sincerity is lacking, and I think which is why Manipur is suffering. Manipur has been burning for such a long time, and people are also motivated to go keep on doing whatever they're doing, thinking that that will in the end achieve certain goals. But it is not going to be. The problem, the war, or whatever the trouble, the violence will continue on again and again so long as you allow it. And this is being allowed. That is why I feel very bad.
Okay, over and above, you've already mentioned appreciably that intervention at the highest levels has happened. Interest is being taken as we speak. Today, the Home Minister has taken a meeting on this issue. There is a specific issue regarding the one incident, of course, of the brutality that's taken place, but there's a larger issue as well. Over and above what is already being discussed, announced, suggested, what more needs to happen on an immediate basis, sir?
See, the government seems to be hesitating on doing certain things. So, which is why I belong to part of the government, and I do not want to suggest or demand anything. But I think the government knows best what is needed to be done here, and they should do it as required. The Prime Minister has come, spoken over after a long time. However, when he spoke it, he was very powerful, he was very strong in his word, though we have expected him to go beyond that. But whatever it is, with time, I think constraints were there in the Parliament. He was not able to bring any statement. However, the Parliament has just begun, and probably by tomorrow, day after, as time goes on, I'm sure that there will be a statement from the government side to bring about a solution to the state of Manipur.
I know our time is limited, sir, but on the ground, in Parliament, there is, of course, a conversation in a context which often becomes political. But on the ground, what are the 2 or 3 immediate measures that you'd like to see taken?
See, on the ground, yes, the opposition parties are always there trying to put the blame on the government. It is not the government's doing basically now. It has become a people to people. Now it is defacement of womanhood, the dignity of women is now being questioned, and it is a rape and a murder on democracy itself. And so really we are very saddened. These heinous crimes, yes, actions are already been taken, but it is not enough. It was not, we have seen hundreds of people in that mob, and we have seen only 2, 3 or 4 people being arrested. And there are also the law enforcing agencies who are supposedly to be involved in trying to release these people out into the handing them over. Are these people not responsible? They should also be booked. Why not?
Okay.
And unless that is being done, I think it is not going to bring any satisfaction to the people.
Okay, so more effective policing logically is what you suggest is the immediate priority, and of course action not only done but seen to be done from the top, which of course a lot has happened, but clearly more needs to happen and can happen. Dr. Lorofos, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
Much more should have been done
in a troubled time, and hopefully, fingers crossed, sir, we keep chipping away and we can have peaceful news to report very shortly. With that, let me just quickly hop across to Swati Malewal, who in fact has now traveled to Manipur. She is the chief of the Delhi Commission of Women. Swati ji, I believe you have now arrived in Manipur a few hours ago. Where are you now, ma'am?
I'm in Manipur, I'm in Imphal, and I have written to the Chief Minister. I have sought his time. I have sought the time of the Governor of Manipur because I want to meet all the sexual assault survivors and I want to see whether legal aid, counseling, compensation has been provided to them, and also whether what kind of condition are they living in right now? Are they still under fear? Is there any other threat that is there? What kind of intimidation are they facing right now? And who actually has gone and met them till now? Because what I have understood, nobody has. No authority has met them. So I think this is really shocking, and I think that what has happened, what the country has witnessed in the form of the viral video and several other cases that are existing, which the Chief Minister himself is saying that over hundreds of such cases have happened in the past 3 months here. So I want to meet all these survivors, and I'm seeking the support of the Manipur government for doing that.
Okay. Why did you feel, ma'am, that it required intervention from your end, from your physical travel from Delhi to Manipur to address this, and this could not have happened locally, or no other nodal authority could deal with this?
Of course, other authorities should deal with it. But the point is that nobody is. The Prime Minister for the past 3 months, but when the video went viral after that, spoke for 36 seconds on Manipur. He hasn't yet come to Manipur. Neither has the Home Minister come. Neither has the Women and Child Minister come. And what I really want to understand is who is standing with these survivors right now. If I find somebody standing there, if the government can answer my questions, just tell me that who is helping these survivors, because what I have understood is that they are still stuck in their villages or they are stuck in the relief camps, and absolutely no help has gone there. Why has the Chief Minister not met these survivors till now? I think these are hard questions which unfortunately nobody is asking.
Okay.
I have been forced to get up from Delhi and come all the way to Imphal at, of course, great personal risk, because I cannot continue sitting just in Delhi and pretending that everything is okay when everything clearly is not.
Okay.
Manipur is right now burning, and the kind of videos that we have seen, they're horrific, and if those survivors are still not getting justice, I think this is a matter of very, very serious.
Okay, but ma'am, you know that the Home Minister was in Manipur before we knew about this particular video. He spent 3 days, which is an unusual amount of time addressing this. He's taken a meeting today itself. One of the other union ministers, he spent 3 weeks in Manipur. So isn't it a bit opportunist, ma'am, to say that the government has been missing and not paying attention to these matters?
I just want to know, where is the Union WCD Minister and where is the National Commission for Women chairperson? Don't you think that the questions that I'm raising vis-a-vis the sexual assault survivors is of any consequence in this country? Can you please answer me whether the survivors have got counseling and have got any legal aid? Or do we think that their videos can get viral and the government can do some lip service that, okay, after 2.5 months, once the video went viral, we arrested a few men and that is it? Is that what we reduce women's safety to in this country? That video has shaken the conscience of this country. It has shaken my conscience. It has scarred me forever. And if after seeing that, the National Commission for Women chairperson and Union WCD minister refused to enter Manipur, refused to go and meet the survivor. The WCD minister of Manipur refuses to meet the survivor. The chief minister refuses to meet the survivors when he makes a very broad statement and a very scary statement that there are hundreds of such cases in Manipur. Please tell me that as a citizen of this country, as an activist, and most importantly as a woman, what should I do? I'm just trying to do
there's no doubt something horrific has taken place. But it often, I appreciate the sentiment.
I can have a sleep at night because I'm not being able to sleep.
I think everybody would agree with your sentiment, ma'am. But you know what happens, and oftentimes that the sort of whataboutery and one-upmanship happens. You are traveling to Manipur. You could have chosen to travel to Malda, you could have chosen to travel to Jodhpur. We see a lot of politics that breaks out. Why can't we address this as one set of people, knowing that all these incidents are abhorrent and need to be dealt with?
I totally agree with you. Why do we divide women? Why do we make sure that they look like, okay, this is a West Bengal woman, this is a Jodhpur woman, this is a Delhi woman, this is a Punjab woman? No, we are all Indians. We are all women and girls of India, and this is a matter of fact because the Chief Minister of Manipur himself has made a statement on one of the national televisions that there are hundreds of such cases and how can he take cognizance? And he had absolutely no idea that something like this has happened. You mentioned the term opportunist. I really want to understand what is the opportunity in entering a war zone, in trying to enter it. And that too when the government of the day has just completely said that they are not going to support you. Where is the opportunity? The opportunity is that if I continue to live in Delhi and if I continue to work in my air-conditioned office and if I continue to go to the gym in the morning and if I continue my daily routine, that is my opportunity.
Okay.
What is the opportunity in Imphal where there is not even internet is also not working? I am in completely unknown terrain. I am at complete risk to myself, but I am doing that just to satisfy my conscience and to reach out to
So ma'am, what is the intervention that you can hope to achieve there that won't be misconstrued as opportunism?
How do you misconstrue a work like this as opportunism? Do you think, why don't you ask the question to the National Commission for Women that for 38 days when they had a complaint, they did not act on it and they have not taken any action, and the National Commission for Women chairperson whose jurisdiction it is has refused to even enter Manipur. Don't you think that is a complete and criminal act of neglect? Don't you think she should be called out instead of calling people like me who are just trying to be sensitive to the situation? Because just ask yourself that question. If something like that could have happened to someone in your family, or something like that would have happened to someone in my family, because I'm constantly questioning myself on that. Where is if you do your work right and if you try and help people in this country, how is it that, there's so much shaming. There's so much shaming that is done around good work. Nobody is asking the Union WCD minister that why is it that she has not bothered to enter Manipur.
No, it could well be because the Home Minister is, taking meetings on this almost on a daily basis. It could well be.
Just a second. Home Minister is taking meetings on the law and order situation. I want to know what is the plight of the sexual assault survivors in Manipur, because the Chief Minister has said that there are hundreds of such cases. You see, there is a difference between the Home Minister and there's a difference between the WCD Minister and there's a difference between the role of the National Commission for Chairperson. If the Home Minister only had to work, then there is no need for the post of the Union Minister for WCD and the National Commission for Chairperson, Chairperson of the National Commission for Women. In dono ki post khatam kar dete na.
In the spirit of people contributing towards constructive.
If there is a problem related to women and children in this country, they are supposed to step in. To say that because the Home Minister is doing it, there is no need for anybody else to do any work, then to
all right, Swati ji, in the hope of a constructive effort to solve problems, regardless of the politics that often pervades us, I understand the conceptualization of a thesis and an antithesis and picking up priorities, and I don't think anybody can disagree with the fact that action needs to be taken. It has not effectively been taken thus far. The arrests have been late in coming, and something that's going to trouble all our consciences. So in the hope of constructive activity, I'm hoping that your visit is successful and we find that the women are being well taken care of, and if not, whatever facilities and efforts are required towards them are indeed being provided. If not now, then on an immediate basis. Swati Maliwal, the DCW chief who's just this afternoon arrived in Manipur, thank you for joining us with your thoughts. Let me quickly address a few other points with our guest joining us. Major Muhammad Ali Shah is with us, as is RVS Mani. Major Shah, so now we have a very strange situation. And the strange situation is that even before we heard of this particular atrocity, at least the vivid example of it which we've seen now with our own eyes, we've been discussing it here for much before that. We've been spending hours and hours on national television, not only on this news portal, but on many others. We know that Union MOS was there for 3 weeks. The Home Minister went specially, spent almost 4 days there. A commission was set up, a sort of an all-party effort of MLAs, representation was attempted. An attempt was made to reclaim all the weaponry, to restore law and order. So an effort has been made. But we have a very unique situation that at one side a lot of effort seems to be being made, but on the side of simply arresting the people who committed the atrocities, it seems not enough was done. It's a very, very odd mismatch. How is that seem to have snuck in, sir?
Okay, Rishabh, that's a very good question, but my heart bleeds no end because just this morning we saw a gruesome murder burning off a 80-year-old wife of a freedom fighter. And one of the assaulted victims of the molestation, the viral video, was the wife of a former Subedar from the Assam regiment, from the army, who fought in the IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Force in Sri Lanka in the late 80s. In 1999, he fought the Kargil War. So when freedom fighters' families, when war veterans' families are not being spared, and let me tell you, Rishabh,
no, I don't think it's not being spared. I think they're being deliberately targeted. I think it's worse than that. It's not about being spared that incidentally.
Listen,
I think they're being deliberately targeted.
Let's take it that they're being deliberately targeted. Fine. Let me tell you my experience on ground as a soldier in Manipur, in fact, Rishabh. Women and children, there was a code of conduct. They were never touched. They were never touched by the undergrounds. They were school buses of the army who would travel freely without any protection party. There were ambulances, which I have seen ambulances going from More to Libakong in the army hospital. They were not touched by the underground. They had a code of conduct. That is the reason I had come from JNK. I would say in JNK they were terrorists.
So Mohammed, what's happened? Major Shah, what's happened? Like I said, at one level, we have been sitting here, discussing the causes, the formulations, getting as many voices from all sides as possible. Trust me, it's a very genuine effort we made. I know it's never enough, but we've tried. And this was before we knew of the incident that took place, that the video at least came out. The incident took place much earlier, video at least came out. So this is before we knew of the video. We knew that the Home Minister was there personally. We knew that the MOS was there. We knew that the BJP leaders themselves and their representatives, their houses have also been attacked. So it's not like they are not being victims to this entire thing as well. So effort was being made, but that effort does not seem to have yielded the right results. Why? What is the X factor missing? What do we do next?
Okay, what's missing? It's very obvious, Rishabh. The army over there in action, they haven't been called out as yet. And over, I don't know how many days, 80 days almost. Oh my goodness, it should have been in the first 24 hours, 48 hours. Army should have been a requisition. It has to come from the state government. They have to require the center for the army to come in there with boots on ground. Fine, I admit the fact that they perceive things to be getting better and they had removed the Armed Forces Special Power Act in the Imphal Valley just a few months before this clash took place, or before 3rd of May. But what is missing, I'm telling you, Rishabh, we have the last line for everything in the army. They have flash floods in 2015, you call the army. A boy falls in the well, you call in the army.
Yeah.
There's fire, you call the army. You call army for everything.
Floods in Delhi, we call the army. Absolutely right.
There was some talk of Virappan when Virappan was alive. That, said the army. Army didn't accept it. But here, why is the army not being called? If the army is called, Rishabh, it will be sorted out. Why should we wait for things to get worse?
But you know the reason to that as well, right? Because a judgment call has to be made, and I know it's a difficult judgment call to make. So I'm empathetic on the toughness of this, but we at the same time have to be deeply cognizant of the seriousness of it. Okay, despite the conversations we've been having for a month and a half, the seriousness is smacking us in the face. Let me get RVS Mani for a few quick thoughts. Mr. Mani, I think it would be a bit much to say that effort, attention, time, mind space has not been applied to this over the past 1.5 months. For sure it has. We've applied it. You've applied it. Major Shah has been applying it. The Home Minister is being applying it. The BJP leaders are applying it. The Chief Minister is applying it. Why is it not culminating into what we want to see?
It has not been of the adequate level or adequate measure. So that is the reason now it has gone on for 80 days. We have to take very road ahead, few short steps, bring in the unified command, bring in the army, as General Subhash said a few hours ago, hand over it, cordon up all the border areas of the state, give them a free hand, flush out all these mischievous people wherever they are there, clean up the entire process. It is something like cleaning up, total cleaning up, and also put an embargo on all sorts of political or crisis, terrorism, tourism, which is happening. Every political leader, whether he has a domain or not, is coming and doing whatever their own investigation, whatever the purpose of the visit, whether do they have the domain, that basic question nobody is questioning. We have to ask that. See, if the National Commission is, or the Manipur Commission of Women has the domain, why should a Delhi Commission? Not only that, earlier also political leaders have visited, tried to fish in the troubled waters, stop that. As a matter of policy, simply cordon off the borders of Manipur state, bring in the unified command, answerable to only Chief Minister, single point command, and let them do.
Yeah, but RVS Mani, since you are deeply cognizant, and I know Major Shah is also, okay, deeply cognizant that oftentimes bringing in the army, which might be very effective in terms of law and order, probably that's what we need to do right now. But it comes with a lot of baggage. A lot of people have issues with you know, then you'll have to, if you bring in the army, you'll have to give them special protection in a difficult circumstances. Then you'll have ASPA debates, then human rights debates. It's not as simple as it sometimes seems across to be. What is the imperative, sir? Do we have no other option but to bring the army now?
See, now that with the leadership, even the Human Rights Commission of the United Nations has dropped many of the cases. Recently it had happened, we have had a discussion on that. The human rights is basically a bogey. It depends on the muscle of the government, the muscle shown by the government, they all go shut. Only when there is an issue about it, lobbying, diplomatic circles are there, the human rights will come out. It is not simply real human rights. It is a lobby, it's a bogey they create, unnecessary to malign India. But here our losses are much more humor, you balancing off, and you will find that the human rights will stay. Even now, even if it's a soft approach, they are not going to keep quiet.
Okay.
So, jolly well, don't bother for them. Let us clean up our state. Manipur is a part of India.
Okay.
We have to protect its people, and that should be the
okay. For
point.
people, for people watching, for people watching this broadcast, okay, and especially the people who are in Manipur or from Manipur and other parts of the country, people watching this across India and across the world. There has been a lot of effort which has gone, a lot of mind space, a lot of attention has been placed on this for the past 2 months. So let's not kid ourselves that we have as a country ignored it, let it simmer and it's all blown out of proportion. A lot of effort has been put. That effort is not fructifying. And if at the highest levels, if the Chief Minister is sitting with the Home Minister who's sitting in Imphal for 4 days trying to speak to various parties and solve the problem, and it almost seems that nobody wants to listen, that there is a motivation to expedite this further, to create a crisis further. We also have to judge ourselves that sometimes the cure should not be worse than the disease, and things that we take up as very quickly as actions sometimes can make the problems worse. So I understand the complexity of it, I empathize with it, because you know, Major Shah, Mr. Mani and I don't have to make that decision. But at the same time, now we can't run away from the fact that things have gotten out of hand and something will have to be done. And if the people the miscreants who are doing these kind of things, not everybody, who are making people suffer, it's causing a crisis in Manipur where people are suffering, it's causing a crisis in the country, it's causing a political crisis, causing us an international crisis, that now something has to get done. So, to say that enough attention and effort was not to be put, I think that's just egregiously wrong. I really wonder that despite all the interventions, why a lot of parties on the ground have not agreed to just sit on a table and sort out differences instead of the streets. It's very strange, very complex, but I think we can all be in agreement that it's gotten far enough for an acritous action now. Whether that's the army or not, we'll soon find out.